Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm, and as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, let me bring my guest into the studio. I'm calling this show Political Chess Moves, but they're really just taking the board out. So the game is just about to start. But I'm inspired to do this show today because it reminds me of back in the day. My guest today, C. Alan Johnson, might know what I'm talking about. He will enough. Back in the day, they used to have this show called To Tell the Truth. C. Alan, you remember that show?
Yep.
So on that show, and camera out because people won't be able to hear on Facebook. So on that show, used to get three people on the panel. And they all would be purporting to be the same person. So you'd have C. Alan come on and he would say, "Hello, my name is C. Alan Johnson." And then I would come on and I would say, "Hello, my name is C. Alan Johnson." And then the third person would come on and say, "Hello, my name is C. Alan Johnson." And then the panel, celebrity panel, would have to guess who the real C. Alan Johnson is. And the way they would guess that is by asking these three people a bunch of questions about what they do as C. Alan Johnson. Now, the host of the show would read off what the real C. Alan Johnson does for a living. And then the celebrities had to ask these three people various questions about what they do as C. Alan Johnson. And then at the time of, once the time had passed, that they would have to guess, the host of the show would say, "Will the real C. Alan Johnson please stand up?" And then you'll see the three of them pretended to stand up, and then C. Alan would stand up. And that's how the celebrities knew if any of them were correct in guessing who the real C. Alan Johnson was. What does that have to do with today's show? Well, I'm playing the host of To Tell the Truth today, and my question is, will the real leader of the Free National Movement please stand up? I feel like we watching a game of To Tell the Truth, because you seem to have this jockeying going on for who is the real leader of the Free National Movement. You've got the real leader, who is none other than Mr. Michael Pintard, who was elected to be leader of the Free National Movement. And then you've got the former in the person of Hubert Minnis, who, from what it appears, even though on the one hand he is saying he supports the leader, on the other hand, it looks like very much the opposite. Like he is trying to position himself to come back as the leader of the Free National Movement to try to win the government again. Now, for those of us looking in, first thing we asking ourselves is, okay, why is this happening now? Because it's kind of early for this, eh? I mean, last time I checked, unless Davis decides to do what Minnis did and end his term early, the last time I checked, we still, got a ways to go before the 5 years is up, before the next election. And yet we already see where this struggle is going on within the Free National Movement, apparently, for leadership. Now, all political parties, I'm sure, have their little internal struggles. People vying for the head honcho seat. But it usually don't spill out into the public like how this one has become a very public fight. And so C. Allen is here with me today. We're going to talk about this, at least for the first half of the show. Second half of the show, depending on how far you all take us with this first half, the second half of the show, we're going to be getting an update from Kai Mills about some new developments in Abaco. But C. Allen, welcome back to GPS.
Thank you once again. Another round of political games, chess games.
The chessboard has been pulled out. The dust is being brushed off, and then these political chess moves are about to begin, eh?
Yeah. Well, I kind of think this is like more like amateur night at the FNM console. It's so obvious, and that I'm just surprised that ministers went down and picked up such low chess players to play this game for him. It basically tells me that doesn't seem to be in a strong enough position as he is.
Well, I'm not a chess player, right? So you could correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes aren't those what you call low players? Couldn't they do some real damage on the board in order to get to the?
What happens is there's a concept in the art of seeking power called cat's paw.
Uh-huh.
And the way cat paw is, let's just say you and I are sitting in front of a fireplace, and I see something in the fireplace I want. I would just kind of take your hand, reach into the fireplace, and pull it out. So while you're screaming about being burnt, I'll have the piece. So essentially, you kind of put in the fire what you want, what you could afford to lose. And so this is his way of pushing the testing, the button, the response, the readiness for response against any move that he may be attempting. It's about 10 months away for anybody moving the legitimate leader or seeking to become the legitimate leader of the FNM has to begin a preparatory move for January of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
If Michael Pintard remains leader after January 24, he will, based on our political history, there'll be almost a 90% plus chance that he will be the next sitting prime minister. You have to understand, Mr. Hubert Minnis also knows that the headwinds that caused him to call an early election. You and I predicted the early election from 18 months out, gave them the date. We said by November 1st. And we gave them the date. Nobody believed us then based on the information that's in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the last administration, Minnis reached a point of zero, what do you call it, net zero in his popularity in 19 months. The Progressive Liberal Party is seeking its best to beat that. There's no way Minnis could become the most unpopular prime administration in 19 months. We could do it. We could definitely be unpopular quicker than he did. That's the only thing I could think of the PLP doing. So the political headwinds is the economics of the country that Minnis knows is in place. Remember, we have been having gymnastics in our economic utterances and announcements and pronouncements. And like I told you from the previous administration, Michael Halkitis is about as good as they come when you say the magician of an accountant. Remember now, an accountant doesn't do anything for growth or anything of that sort. What an accountant does is makes the books look good. And I said, on a couple occasions in the last administration, and even in this one right now, if I was watching a magic show, Michael Halkitis would convince me the rabbit is still in the hat. I'll be like, everybody know the rabbit in the hat trick is a misdirection. But I go, no, this dude actually got the rabbit in the hat. That's how good he is. And I understand his qualifications, that he's one of the few that holds this master, some certification in accounting. He's well demonstrated that he deserves that title or whatever. Some certification that he has. I can't remember. A few people in the Caribbean have it. Mm-hmm. He has demonstrated that he has that ability to hold that. And so, in fact, he would have been an excellent accompaniment to Sam Bankman-Fried if he had reached him earlier before the election to just say, look, I need an accountant to straighten out my books so they could believe it's real.
You need to stop being so wicked, C. Allen. Let us stay focused, please. Pure wickedness on your part. Pure wickedness. So let's look at what's going on within the Free National Movement. Because this is like an onion. You peel back one layer, you think you get to the core one, you look, there's another layer. You peel that back, there's another layer, and you just keep peeling and peeling and peeling and peeling because there's so many facets to what we see happening right now and being played out very publicly with this internal, what seems to be an internal fight.
But let me just say one other point. Michael Pintard is very safe in his seat for the fact that those that want Michael has a list of people with leadership ambitions that needs Michael to remain because they want to be the one to remove him. Don't just look around the players, and so no matter what, you got people sitting around him. There's if you take the street noise, it's correct. Minnis has 3, and Michael has 3, and so you look on the other side of the 3 that Michael has, and that would be White, the deputy Cartwright, and by proxy, he would have Adrian Gibson. And the reason why I say by proxy is because Adrian Gibson is a Minnis man, but Minnis is essentially a saber, almost like a chameleon, because if you go again by noticing the marketplace, Minnis is behind most of the prosecutions that Mr. Pintard and others keep referring to that doesn't yet hit the market. And so as Minister of Finance, Minnis is using whatever information he has to direct the PLP to look at particular FNMs, whether the improprietary things they did is wrong or not, to have them as a means of weakening the party's leadership to satisfy his ambition of coming. Let me just say again, Minnis had no intention of resigning. Minnis resigned because of one statement Papa said that Wednesday about almost like Papa said, let him stick his head out talking about he remaining. And Minnis had every intent on that Friday making an announcement of his intent of remaining. That Wednesday Papa spoke, Friday Minnis made his announcement that I gone. So, and Papa has his preferential choice for leadership of the FNM. And if you look at the struggles that the FNM is having, you could very easily see that there are some other minions in the play. And with all due respect, I would say Dwayne Sands is one of the players for the leadership. But he doesn't have the proper bullets or credentials yet. And I'm sure Sands would not allow somebody else to usurp his desire to lead this country from him. Now, let me just say this, right? I'm one to believe we shouldn't elect any member of parliament who doesn't have a desire to be prime minister, because that tells you then have men without testicular fortitude or women without ovarian audacity, because you should be able to step into that leadership role at any given time. So when somebody says, I have no desire to be prime minister, we should write them off. Because that's in the House of Assembly, you should have first among equals. So there's nothing wrong with Dwayne Sands having a desire. There's nothing wrong with anyone that sits around Michael Pintado or anyone in the PLP. The problem is our constitution is such a warped way that even if somebody in the PLP wanted to remove Brave Davis, 73 and 74 gives him the option of, instead of him just being removed, he would have to be an honorable man to accept his removal rather than going and calling an early election.
Okay, so before you go too fast, I want to go back to something that you said earlier, right? Because you just brush right over it. You trying to suggest to me and my audience that Minnis is acting as, for want of a better term,
Snitch.
I was trying to be a little politically correct. Were you trying to tell me that he's a secret agent for the PLP just so that he could weaken somebody so he could get back in the position?
Yes.
That's what you're trying to suggest to us.
Yeah. Well, you see, if Minnis was the leader that those around him, see, just go back and look. I read about 15 letters that went to the newspaper attacking Michael Pintado and saying why Minnis should come back, but they didn't give any reason why Minnis should come back. What is his unfinished agenda? What is his grand idea that he left unfinished, that Dorian and COVID interrupted? In fact, it says crisis proves leadership. And so if Minnis had 2 crises or more, his leadership, he proved that he's unable or incapable of leading this new 21st century Bahamas. Minnis surrounded himself by loyalists, pure loyalists, and he acted as a dictator. We saw his attitude towards the press. You notice he told the press, get lost. Now he's going knocking on the press. I think.
Yeah, he really didn't make himself available to the press, when he was prime minister. But now he can't pass a microphone.
Right, I tell him. I'm surprised. I was on New Providence. If I wanted to see Minnis, I'd go down early in the morning and stand in front of the Guardian, because most likely he'd be waiting for a reporter.
Wow. Okay. This speaks a lot of leadership. This speaks to me a lot about if you are correct, if what you're saying is true, and I want to throw in there allegedly. Yeah, that he is allegedly a secret agent for the PLP, just so the PLP could use the information allegedly that he's giving to weaken the existing leadership to give him a better opportunity at returning as leader. If that is true, what does that say about his desire? Here's what I'm trying to say. Is it more important for him to be leader, or is it more important for him to have to show character? And what I mean by that is this. They say if you as a leader can't follow anybody else, then what kind of leader are you?
But power is an intoxicating drug. It's an intoxicating. I've heard people say this all the time. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I from the time I was 12 years old, I've disputed that. Power does not corrupt. Power reveals. Power reveals the person you pretended not to be.
This is true.
And so Minnis was this person who sold us on the it's the people's time and 21st century things, e-medicine, all of these different things, digital this and digital that. But when he had absolute power, which he exercised, we didn't see anything. I mean, in fact, the way he exercised it showed the kinks in our unpreparedness for the 21st century. And we didn't hear, and I would challenge anyone, bring Minnis' record, bring his discussions about what's now, what's new, and what's next. There's absolutely nothing. In fact, we have a deficit of 21st century leadership in the parliament. Right now, this Progressive Liberal Party they have really moved me personally, for a person who lives in the 21st century and beyond. They have already moved me into the neutral zone. And I'm giving them until July 1st, actually the next budget debate, to basically put something on the table, because other than that, they're just riding on the most incompetent, this is my opinion, they're riding on what was done by the most incompetent leadership we've had to date. And that is Hubert Alexander Minnis.
I I want to read a comment from one of our Facebook viewers. Now, we all know, if you've been on this side of eternity long enough, you know that politics makes for strange bedfellows. So people has come together who you would least expect to come together just for political expediency. Now, this person, Jillian, says, sorry, ain't buying this C. Allen controversy comment. It's too far out there. I assume she's talking about...
Let me answer her. Julian only needs to pay attention to what is said in Parliament, what is said in the newspaper, what these individuals says.
Mhm.
People are connected pieces. I am not politically biased to the point that I believe something and I block out everything else.
Mhm.
With all due respect, that's what Julian and the rest of them that spot political parties do. People told me from 2002 I was an anti-PLP. In 2007 they said I was an anti-FNM. In 2012 they said I was anti-PLP. And they said 2017 I was anti-FNM. Now they're saying I'm anti-PLP. I'm actually pro-Bahamian if they can't understand that. And so my thing about it is I use data, I use information. I don't go like I feel, I believe, I hope, and I wish for. I take people at their word. Ministers stated exactly what it is. I've heard ministers in Parliament got up and say, you all need to look under the rock called parks and beaches. Who he was talking to? He's talking right to them, saying that you all need to examine the books of the sitting member of Parliament for St. Barnabas. Because he knows that St. Barnabas poses a threat to his structure. Because if ministers, St. Barnabas, I personally watch him. I think he does have political ambition. And if he bids his time well, he's young enough that he actually can ascertain a shot at the top. I don't know if he has the experience or the reputation among the political elite to convince them that he's ready to challenge, jump into the shark-infested waters. I think he needs to prepare himself for this new 21st century type environment for discussion of ideas where the world has just moved into. And so you go with minutes and simply say the PLP, if you listen to Parliament, I listened to it twice sometime, you could hear their statements, not necessarily on the feet, but send us the information, send us some more information. Who are they talking to say send us some more information on that? They are basically almost letting the FNM know, they're feeding into the FNM to let them know that you have treachery among yourselves. And so, and I invite Jillian and anyone else, listen to Parliament. That's where the power is. This is why no government puts the parliamentary channel, all of the things on television, because they don't want you to go back and listen to the BS they feed you. And so, don't listen to the noise in the marketplace. Watch the price of the fish. And Parliament is the most powerful place. You get to see the price of the fish.
So we have another comment, this one coming in from Stanner and Cooper, who says, I'm with C. Allen. It's called controlled opposition. It's what's been happening for the past years. And then we have another comment.
It's called controlled opposition and manufactured consent. Control who oppose you and manufacture the consent using the person who opposing you.
We have another comment, this one coming in from Leonardo Johnson, who says, after all Menace and his FNM administration did to the Bahamian people, he's still thinking about running. My God, the FNM and PLP really taking Bahamian people for fools. These guys have no shame, also no respect for the Bahamian people. God will deal with you guys for sure. Repent, or you guys are going straight to hell. All right.
Well, they could make us experience hell now, and then right before death, they could repent. Yes, the difference, though, you have two sides of the same coin. When you flip the coin, you'll always end up with one of the two sides. And so until we stop flipping the coin, we don't keep getting what we've been getting. It's the same wooden coin. And so the problem is that we have not because we demand not. It says power gives nothing without a demand, but power concedes nothing with a demand without from an emasculated constituent. Power gives nothing to the demand coming from the emasculated constituents. We have become emasculated constituents that actually believe that we are the only people, only two parties that can govern us. And let me tell Jillian, remember the word two sides of the same coin, and you all should remember where it came from in a meeting here, in the DNA meeting here in Grand Bahama. And so just understand that you can't manage what you can't measure, and you can't measure what you can't acknowledge. And that's the problem with these alternative parties, is they're trying to go into a heavyweight boxing ring with two heavyweight champions coming there with lightweights, no money, no resources, and no ideas, and saying, choose me. I am the least incompetent. I'm the least inept. What type of argument is that? Talk
We got to take a break. The producer been playing music, so let's take this break. When we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to look more specifically at what's been being fought out in the public with regard to what's happening within the Free National Movement. We're going to play some clips of some interesting comments that have been made as of late. Stay with us. This is GPS.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Youngevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, tints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Youngevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company with my guest, C. Alan Johnson. We're talking political chess moves. Will the real leader of the Free National Movement please stand up? The telephone numbers to call are 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line is 8010271 for text messages only, 8010271. We are streaming live on Facebook on the official Global 99.5 FM and Michelle Malcolm pages. Okay, so we're talking about this internal struggle that has become very external, very public. We see all this jockeying happening between the current leader, Michael Pintard, although we're going to talk about whether or not this is really about Michael, or is it more so about the chairman of the Free National Movement, Dwayne Sands, and a struggle to oust him for whatever reason. But there's so many layers involved in this whole thing, and I want to look at all of them to the degree that we can. And a key part of this whole situation that we see going on being played out publicly, and I want C. Alan to break it down as best he can, considering the legal ramifications of the fact that it's now before the courts, is the situation with Adrian Gibson. Adrian Gibson recently had opportunity to stand on his feet in the House of Assembly to take issue with something that was said by Cornish in the House of Assembly that Mr. Gibson believes has the potential to impact his ability to get a fair trial. Here's a look at that back and forth that took place in the House of Assembly as it relates to that.
If I may, and this campaign, you know it. Cat Island and Rumkey and San Salvador, Angliston, Fox Hill, and Fort Charlotte served in frontline politics for many years. And in all those years, as a little boy growing up, I have never heard, read, or watched on the media outlets that any of them were unable to give an account for millions of dollars. Let's compare it. Or ever was charged before a court with 56 counts of failing to declare interest in contracts, bribery, dishonesty, receiving money, and money laundering. Some only served frontline politics for 4 years and 4 months.
Sit down.
Imagine a long political career.
Sit down.
The opposition has the nerve. Okay? And this is the first opportunity that I have had because I wasn't in an earlier session. First opportunity I have had to rise and speak to this. And West Grand Mom, I expect better from you because the reality is, don't tell me I should have been when I had something else to do. Okay?
Okay, honorable member.
All right, Mr. Deputy.
Okay, members, I will make a ruling. So we can move forward.
Mr. Deputy, if you're going to make a ruling, I'd like to make my case. Yes. Pursuant to Rule 37.1, the member for North Abaco has prejudiced the case. I'm not aware of how this matter can be fairly adjudicated. He's recklessly infringed upon my privilege.
Honorable members.
Impacted my ability to have a
Honorable
fair
members,
trial.
I am going to take that into consideration. Now we're going to take a 5-minute break.
That this matter, that his comments be expunged from the record.
Thank you, honorable member.
Were nasty and uncalled for.
Okay, explain what's going on there and why this is relevant to this whole question of the F&M leadership, C. Alan.
I watched Mr. Cornish's contribution in Parliament live when he was giving to it, and I was disappointed in all the legal minds that sat there and allowed him not once, twice, maybe 3, 4, 5 times to go back and rehash it. The speaker said nothing, and the legal luminaries that jumped up for every fraction of an inch that is taken from a legal perspective allowed him to go there. In fact, laughed about it, knowing that a case was pending, and he was describing some very particular sort of things. He described a mouse. He was describing some different things, and he was basically, and that's why I agree with the disappointment in Obadiah Wilshcombe. He's a competent parliamentarian, and to allow the newbie, the neophyte, to violate privilege of another member of parliament, whether he's in parliament or not. Privilege is meant to be protected among honorable men. And I thought that they really inserted themselves into the particulars of that case. You claim that parliament is where the voice of the people is heard. Well, if you're speaking for the people and speaking to the people, you basically did, at some capacity, prejudice that cases in some way. You could argue that he can't have a fair trial in the Bahamas. Well, believe it or not, I think we have jurisdictional arrangements to have a fair trial in another jurisdiction, but that's a debate for another time. I do think more than striking of the record, but an apology should be put forth. Now, I personally believe that the FNM case, the FNM leadership battle, was accelerating further than with this. I don't know whether that was an attempt that allowed it to damage Adrian Gibson, thinking it will further speed or move him out of the way so that a seat could be vacated in Long Island, so that the battle within the FNM would heat up. With all due respect, the FNM, and like I said, respect Twein Sands' this ambition to lead this country. But the FNM has learned its lesson from going back to Tommy Turnquest of having someone lead the party from outside the House of Assembly, such as the Senate. And so Mr. Sands would somehow need to sit in the House of Assembly by virtue of 2 seats, by virtue of a seat that is technically vacant right now, and that is one of Alfred Says. If we follow what the honor should do, Alfred Says has misled the House of Assembly at least 8+ times in regards to the BPL deal, including Mr. Brave Davis. And they've now blamed it on, that he has the complete government server on his laptop, on his tablet, sorry. And they have a different version out there in the public domain for the rest of the Bahamas users. And then he came back and admitted that, yes, he did see it. And, it's so much different things. So if we use the honor system that we so like to use, Alfred Says would have already done the honorable thing and submitted his resignation for misleading the House on the BPL power arrangements. And the government of the Bahamas, the government of the FNM, the government of the PLP is making no such move to have him actually resign. Secondly, the next possible vacancy that could come up is Mr. Adrian Gibson. And for people to understand, the only way for Adrian Gibson to vacate the seat is not to be convicted. He could be convicted and still sit in the House of Assembly if his sentence is for 12 months or less.
Right.
And so just a conviction is not going to cause him to vacate the seat unless something of it greater than that. And considering the way the court system is bogged down, you heard Mr. Keith Bell say if you put any more case in front of the court, you wouldn't be able to hear it. So I could anticipate that Mr. Adrian Gibson case could actually run on for a few more years, maybe as long as to the next election. And so each time Mr. Gibson sits in there, each time Mr. Sayre sits in there, something comes up. It has to come up before January 2024, because that's when the next FNM convention is for Mr. Sands to be in a position to challenge for leadership of the Free National Movement. So at best could happen at that time, if Mr. Sands is not sitting in the House of Assembly, would be for him to challenge for the position of deputy leader of the party. And this is why you'll probably see Mr. Cartwright is not going to particularly choose sides right now, because being a neophyte, not necessarily a brand new neophyte, but a newbie into the political scene, he would need some form of protection from the experience and the connected within the political party to move his extension beyond deputy leadership now into that of leader of the party. So he's safe for the next 2 years. But Michael Pintard, if Michael Pintard is to be challenged, he has to be challenged by January of 2024. Because once he sits in the seat and the next convention of the FNM will be 2026. The next election will be 2026 by September. So you would have to challenge him in 2026 and be ready for a re-election in real time. And so that's why I say if that Mr. Michael Pintard sits through the next convention, Mr. Michael Pintard will be, based on the economy, unless something drastically changes, and that's my prediction, Mr. Michael Pintard will be the next Prime Minister of the Bahamas. Because we don't necessarily vote for people, we vote against people, and Bahamians will be voting in their pocketbooks. They'll be voting in the disappointment that broken promises that is made from the Blueprint for Change, the fact that the PLP said they are for poor people. Let me take that back. Because the PLP is for poor people, and they're trying to make more poor people administered. So,
oh my goodness!
That's how you build a support base. If there's poor people for you, create a bunch of poor people. And this is why they probably also making sure that they don't do anything about the illegal immigration, because it produced poverty. It creates an environment for which they like to govern. And for those people like me who knows what the PLP philosophy is, the PLP was not for people. The PLP was for ending poverty. Okay, it wasn't for like we support.
You mean the traditional PLP, the original PLP?
Yes, the PLP that my mother and father subscribed to.
Mm-hmm.
The philosophy of 1953 revised in 1956. And so I hear the garbage, so to speak, said about what the PLP believes and stands for. That has not existed since 1997 when Sir Lyndon Pinland left the House of Assembly. Mm-hmm. And so remember now, I want people not to forget, it's a sidebar, that the Free National Movement was founded on the philosophy of the PLP. The Dissident 8, when they left the PLP saying that the PLP no longer stood for what the PLP said they stood for, and they left as free PLPs. So they left with the philosophy, and the PLP challenged them using the name. And so an election brought amalgamation of the UBP and there's another third party. Because remember, the FNM lost, the UBP lost the election, and so did the FNM, or the Dissident 8. Another party had won the majority of the seats, but that's part of history we don't talk about. Then an amalgamation happened, forming what we now know as the FNM. And so this boogeyman thing that we use is just a way of distracting from the fact that we can't have a debate on ideas. So what we say is, remember the guy that kept our grandparents in slavery? Their children are still out there. And so the problem is that the very people who are screaming those people are still out there has done nothing to tear down the fence. We thank my parents and my other people who fought for our freedom, and they got them to take the chains off our neck and put a fence around the yard. So we are now in the yard thinking we're free because we could run around the yard. So the key now will be for us to basically have a conversation. Hopefully that Mr. Pintard, if he survives the January 2024, I think we as a people should demand from him and Mr. Lincoln Bean is stop elaborately describing the problem and begin to tell us, what is your policy position? What is your solution? Just let me say this again. A problem properly stated is 90% of the solution. The only thing after that is the...
Okay. It looks like we lost C. Allen. I noticed where he had frozen, his video had frozen while he was talking. So hopefully he'll be able to get back online soon. In the meantime, I'm going to play a clip or two. Because this whole question of leadership within the party, like I said, is it seems to be playing out very publicly. We saw recently where Richard Johnson actually took the party to court over his right to be able to speak at functions that the party has. And we're going to definitely talk about that because we see a court ruling came down. And just moments ago, the Free National Movement issued a statement with regard to that ruling. But while we're waiting for C. Allen to get back online, a couple of nights ago, there were two meetings taking place. Two meetings within the Free National Movement. One at which the current leader was the keynote speaker. The other in which the former leader was the keynote speaker. Same time, same night. So all of these kinds of things, and I'm going to play a clip as it relates to that in a minute, all of these kinds of things are raising questions as to what is really going on within the Free National Movement and this jockeying for power going into what would be the next convention for the party. I see C. Allen is back online now. Let's bring him back into the stream. Okay, there he is. You dropped out there for a second, C. Allen.
I don't know where I left off, but I just want to say that a problem properly stated is 90% of the solution, 10% is the action. And so we need to begin to demand from anyone who has aspirations of leading this country, to begin to provide solutions. We are in a point of crisis right now. And I think it's time, no matter how far out, for the very fact that we're facing the headwinds, that we must have policy positions state. And I think this is the time for us to rally behind opposition because they are our voice. The PLP has moved into a dictatorship, just like Minnis did. And we've seen it in their actions. We've seen it in the suppression of the Public Accounts Committee. We've seen it in not wanting to be transparent and accountable on anything. We've seen it with the violation of the law, with the Public Disclosure Act. We've seen all of the different things. And Minnis went to the line. I think the PLP's crossed over. I used the expression that Perry Glasser and Christie lowered to the bar so low that Minnis was able to step over. And Minnis moved it so low that Brave Davis was able to dig under. I don't know what he's trying to do now. And so we have to elevate the level of leadership within our country. And I think what Lincoln Bain is doing as the coalition of making noise, at least he's able to scream fire, that people is responding. I think if people was to actually look at what Pintard is doing in the House of Assembly, you could understand that he's been extremely effective in governance. Now, he's not been effective in the noise making that we use in the politics in the marketplace. And so his type of leadership, it may not be one that we have been used to. We love the ha, rah, 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 pump, pump, the thing. But for those of us that watch Parliament and see what has been asked and what has been sought, and for those of us that read the media with intent of national development as opposed to in trying to embarrass somebody, you would see that I think, and I say this to PLPs and I invite intelligent challenging, I think that there hasn't been a level of debate in the House of Assembly since the era of Sir Lyndon Pinlin that Michael Pintard now brings there. Okay, no blame game, no yesterday, this is what you did. So, you raped 2 people, so you can't talk about me because I'm raping this one right now. That type of thing, where he's saying that let's judge where we are now and look forward looking. It's a refreshing thought to bring to the marketplace. And for those of you who want to come to me, but I'm PLP and whatever, I know the PLP won't come for me because they know who I am. But all of you FNM and Coalition and all these other people, y'all don't know who I am. So that's why y'all don't. But if the PLP knows, if they come for me, I'll remind them who's PLP and who is exactly who. And I remind them who took out Sir Lyndon Pinlin. Okay, many of them still sitting in the House of Assembly. I'll remind them some history that we don't want. See, this is the thing, but if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. You will actually put your oppressors. And for the PLPs, for them to know, because I know every single one of them, and I know the history, the true history of our country. Nobody told me. I trust the people who showed me was my parents, and I trust them. That I trusted them with my life because they gave it to me. But for that's for the talking heads, and I like debates of intelligence and data and information. But most of the people who challenge me, they'll drown in a teaspoon of thought.
All right, let's go back to this whole question of Minnis and Pintard. Pintard is describing Minnis as a distraction for the Free National Movement. Just a few nights ago, both he and Minnis held meetings in 2 different constituencies, same night, same time. And it was interesting to see who stood in support of Minnis and what they had to say and what Pintard had to say. Let's go to that clip and then we're going to talk about it.
Amid reported internal issues within the Free National Movement, leader Michael Pintard making an appeal for unity and loyalty within the party. This much as Pintard and former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis both spoke at constituency meetings at the same time last evening. Pintard in Centreville and Minnis in Garden Hills, both being live-streamed on Facebook. During his remarks, Pintard spoke on the importance of putting personal matters aside for the party's goals.
We have to be more loyal to the brand and to the team than to our own personal ambitions. I told you the story before. I was sent on 2 tough runs. One of them was right here. And the last time I was even confirmed by the association to run in a nice safe seat, it didn't work out. I still ended up in a tough one. But I never doubted the value of the leader at that time. So even if I doubted it was working for me, I know he could work for the country.
And while it has been reported that an attempt was being made to block the former Prime Minister from addressing party supporters and members at constituency meetings, Dr. Minnis said last night he remains in support of the leadership.
It's a party. It's the organization. Pintard is the leader. Respect leadership.
He, however, refused to comment further on whether or not there were any internal fights regarding his decision to speak. Add to that, former Deputy Prime Minister under the Minnis administration, Desmond Bannister, emphasizing that voices need to be heard, the former Prime Ministers in particular.
So I can't be part of something which tries to stifle any behemoth. It's important for the voices in the FNM to be heard. Dr. Minnis is a former Prime Minister of this country. He has made immeasurable contributions to our country, and his voice should be heard. He's a member of Parliament. He makes, every time he goes in Parliament, like he said tonight, he makes contributions that the country needs to hear.
Okay, C. Allen, I have a question for you. So his voice should be heard as a former prime minister and as a current parliamentarian. But does his voice have to be heard the same night as the leader of the party having...
Yeah, let me just first say, I heard Aaron Lewis and I heard Bannister. And it's amazing that someone like me that's not a member of the Free National Movement, and they most likely would consider me an enemy, knows more about the operational procedures and the constitution of the Free National Movement than those who hold senior positions within the party. And the way I see it is that if you understand that Minnis has a voice and no one has access to the press, I tell people, go to the Nassau Guardian Tribune, Minnis got to sit in chair outside waiting for them, man. Nobody has more access than Minnis to the press. His voice is not being his voice is not being suppressed. He is protected in Parliament by the Speaker of the House, that he gets to express himself whenever he drops in. And the problem is that, let's go back to the meetings with Pintard. Pintard spoke at a meeting that was scheduled. All meetings in constituencies are scheduled within cooperation of the parent organization. I don't think that Mr. Sands, in his right mind, would allow any two branch meetings to occur at the same time, and especially when two major leaders, senior leadership of the party, is speaking. Mm-hmm. But then, if you dig a little deeper, you would see that the Garden Hills branch, whatever that branch is that Minnis spoke at, was not a sanctioned FNM constituency meeting. In fact, the chairman of that branch, who invited Minnis, won't have to go into question why he chose a particular date and time, in contravention of the party not having met with any of the delegates. His branch executive didn't meet to set the date, to set the time for meeting. In fact, from the information in the public domain by the FNM themselves, it shows that the branch has not held meetings and is in violation of the Constitution, and by very virtue of the FNM Constitution is considered non-existent. So Minnis, you trying to tell me Minnis, the former prime minister, the former leader of the party, don't know the rules and procedures of speaking at a branch or the procedures for doing so? Is Minnis now saying that he was so naive, that his lacked the leadership ability, that he was snowed by a branch chairman who snowed his other people to get him to come speak to a major branch in violation of the rules of the FNM, knowing in advance that they already had warned the person about the fact that his meeting was in contravention of the party? Minnis ain't that crazy. Minnis might be slow, but he ain't stupid. Okay? So Minnis was well aware exactly what he was doing.
Of course.
So, I want people to know this was well orchestrated. The problem is that they didn't expect thinking people to be able to decipher through the smoke and mirrors. And Minnis is basically finding that his ambition to move towards reclaiming leadership in the party is being challenged by virtue of the structure of the vehemence of what is happening within the party. His support on the outside of the party is waning also, because if you actually look at the actual demographics, you will begin to realize that there's a separation of the very slim mandate that the PLP had by virtue of broken promises. And so the people are not necessarily going to the FNM, however, they're going to the middle. In spite of the popularity of the Coalition of Independence, they have not gotten the massive shift that has left the PLP or remained neutral in the FNM, they have not attracted them back. There's an FNM, it's a shift if you begin to look at the behavior of the FNM over history. But the next few months, usually about 18 months or so after the election, FNMs begin to reconsider their condition, their position, and many of them begin to look for a place to call home for those who stayed away and whatever else. And so chances are FNMs are loyalists. And so they'll begin to move back within the party. If they left, you consider this. If those FNM did not come out to vote or separated them from the party because of Minnis, and they begin to re-enter the party, that naturally goes to that support, then moves to Michael Pintard. Minnis has been trying to move, most likely, to move into these constituency places and take position. You could see this. Remember, this is not the first fight that they have had concerning these constituencies. Go back to the record. See, I don't forget, like people say, this is my latest, how I feel and whatever. I'm looking at the institutional record. The FNM had an argument about restructuring of the constituencies before, in which Minnis was involved. And so again, this is only a continuation of the same fight. And so Minnis is now moving, because remember, unlike the PLP, where the leader of Brave David could appoint another 5,000 people to outnumber the other 4,000 are one and gone. Tomorrow morning, if every Starwood council, 4,000 Starwood council get up tomorrow and decide that they want Brave gone, Brave will get up later at lunch and make another 5,000 who want him to stay. The FNM has a fixed amount, MCMs and delegates or something. I think it's a little over 500, but less than 550. I don't know exact numbers. But to capture the FNM, you must capture the constituency office. You can't appoint thousands of MCMs and whatever else. So you have to win the support of the constituency offices. And so that is where the fight for leadership happens. That happens at the convention. And so you would have to begin to move, because those delegates, remember, those delegate votes for the party, even, remember, at the convention, all positions are empty within the party, but the constituency office positions are not emptied. So they still have the right to vote to choose the leadership at that convention. So if you have control of the constituency offices, then you have security of tenure in leadership, or the ability to move into leadership at that particular time. And this is what I'm saying to you, is that Michael's position within the party is secured. And if these individuals who's outside of the party begin to see that there's no goodwill in the PLP, and the only place is home in the FNM, and they go back into the branches, there's a 90% chance they're going back into the branches in support of Michael Pintard. And I'm sure Minnis knows this. Okay, his millions of dollars of consultants and people that was whispering in his ear must have told him this. And so this is why you see early moves on the deck to have influence within these political parties. So what you do is, since you're no longer making inroads in these so-called constituency offices, you manufacture an attack on you not being able to speak. This is a manufactured attack to say, look, they're not letting me talk to you guys.
Right.
I convince you that I've learned my lesson, is most likely Minnis' argument. I've learned my lesson from the time I stepped on you and kicked you and stamped you. So, and it's and if Minnis, listen to me, I would have to see Yeshua himself to tell me, based on all of the evidence, this is not Minnis making a move to solidify his position as a potential replacement. Because again, it's my opinion that Papa made Minnis move out of the way during that nice conversation he had with Papa. Remember, if you go back to the church, Minnis cried at that church meeting when Papa made him resign. And he cried at that church, and you can go look at Minnis when he shook his hand. Go to pictures out there when he was shaking his hand with his wife. His wife was looking at him like, oh my God, you're going to shake his hand? And Minnis was looking at the ceiling when he was shaking Papa's hand. Okay? Couldn't look at him in the face. Go watch the meeting. That was the Sunday when Minnis was intending to go to that church service. They announced that he was staying on as leader. Papa made that phone call and made that statement to the Eyewitness News, and Minnis shook in his boots and gave his press release that Friday that I ordered a picture. And then he cried that Sunday in the church service. I asked you, go check the records. Okay? Go check the records.
So we're going to talk more on the other side of the break about this manufactured narrative then, that they're trying to keep me from having a voice, because there's some question as to whether or not that is in fact true, or as you're suggesting, that's some kind of manufactured narrative just to advance his position, to try to take over leadership again. Boy, I tell you. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. Stay with us. This is GPS.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, tints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Last is love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here along with C. Alan Johnson. We're talking political chess moves. And will the real leader of the Free National Movement please stand up? The numbers to call, 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, the WhatsApp line, 8010271, 8010271, and that WhatsApp phone is for text messages only. We are streaming live on Facebook, on the official Global 99.5 FM Facebook page and the Michelle Malcolm Facebook page. And you can watch us on Cable Bahamas channel 974. Okay, so there seems to be this back and forth between the chairman of the Free National Movement, one Richard Johnson, the courts, as to his ability to participate in party exercises. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. because Richard made some very interesting statements while making an appearance on Beyond the Headlines a couple of nights ago. But first, we have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Good. You need to turn on your radio, please, or whatever you're listening to us on.
So, yeah, hi, young man. How are you?
I'm doing okay, man. How you be?
Great. Listen, I am listening to you all. I'm listening to you.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as you commenting on the Davis administration, the PLP, and you were getting in a debate with the PLP any day, whatever. I thought the topic was about the real leader of the FNM. Please stand up with Dr. Minnis and Mr. Pintard. Because there are a lot of things going on, whether you may like it or whoever FNMs may like it or not. That is the issue that needs to be addressed. And when you're going to have, you say with Dr. Minnis, as far as we're doing these interviews and getting all this attention, putting up a chair in front of the wherever House of Assembly. No, the media, they run to Dr. Minnis. They go on every hot topic issue that is in this country, and they go to him for a question and answer period. They make him the spotlight on him. Yes, Mr. Pintard has, he has the opportunity. He does well in Parliament, right? And he does as far as he tries to assert his whatever as the opposition leader. He tries as best as he can, but he is being overshadowed by Dr. Minnis to the point where Dr. Minnis and you have, because I don't know if you heard the other day on the talk show where the chairman of, I think, the Carmichael FNM Association called in the show and was defending and saying that that the chairman of the FNM does not tell them what to do, how to run, how to operate their branches and their branch meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And they can invite whoever they want to invite to the meetings. And you speak about how the PRP would go ahead and appoint or install so many stalwart councillors to pick up, to fill in with the 2,000 or whoever that dies off or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
To try and get to attain this power. What about in the FNM? At this point, you had today a ruling came down from the court where Richard Johnson, that you're about to speak on,
Mm-hmm.
made a, he did a filing in court. He won his case.
He did not win his case.
Pardon me, but let me just finish for now, listen to you, because you're going to expound on everything, I'm sure. But what I'm saying is, what type of a leader, you're building up, it's obvious this is your thing right now, this is your focus. And one thing I could say, but you're going to you remain focused. And you're as far as with Mr. Pintard, right? You're saying, you see him in the future as Prime Minister, right? But what I'm saying is, what type of a leader, a person who wants to be a leader is, the two leaders of the party, the chairman and the leader of the opposition, can look back based on the statement that in their response to this ruling that came down today or yesterday, stating that they won it happened, the case was rushed. They want to or to have representation in the crucial case in the Supreme Court.
I actually have the statement from the FNM.
So I'm saying there's a lot of whatever it is what it is. But at the end of the day, you have to be in a position. You can't allow, as far as you say, Dr. Minnis, being a distraction or whatever. He's doing a pretty good job of it. He's doing a very good job of it. So it's not enough for the opposition leader to go in there and do what he has to do in there. He has to keep his eyes, because it seems to me he may be getting a Loretta Butler move placed on him with the persons who sit beside him in that very same parliament. He has to watch his back in reference to that, because it can't happen when you're going to have one of his colleagues send out a statement stating that democracy, that he has Minnis has a right. You understand what I'm saying? As far as with the same pointing towards dictatorship within the party. So there's a lot of things that your party or the FNM has to do, and it's really a topic, and it's something that needs to be addressed. Just standing up, Mr. Pintard, saying, "I am the leader. I am the leader." Yes, mouth can say anything. But the actions and whatever hobby, this is to build. This is the battle right now. The strong, but you understand, the stronger person has the one who has the political savvy and knows what to do is going to win this thing and come out overall standing when the smoke clears. But Mr. Pinto it's not enough alone stating what he's saying. I am the leader. Yes, we all know you are the leader. Yes, you want the people to stick together. But the thing is, you have persons right in your ranks, right around you, who are the ones trying to have you removed. And you coming on the show every day and calling on the shows and speaking on the shows every day and saying what you're saying in reference to Mr. Pintard, that's not going to be enough. Okay? That's all I want to say. Thank you. I'll listen to you what you have to say, Critical. Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Let me touch a couple of things, right?
Keep in mind that we have another caller waiting to see Alan. So go ahead.
I'm saying this. She says my party is the Progressive Liberal Party. You don't believe me? Talk to Brave Davis and anyone in there. I was with the Progressive Liberal Party before 1953. That's when I was still with my dad before he met my mom. And so my dad was a supporter of Cartwright and Cat Island.
Let's not go there.
I'm just saying is that I just happened to be a 1953 philosophy of the Progressive Liberal Party, not this one. And when she talked about the stalwarts, I just simply stating that democracy in my political party has died a long time ago in the late 80s when stalwart councillors was given the right to vote in violation of the Constitution at that particular time. That's not being corrected to today. For those who don't know the PLP's Constitution, I don't know if it's been modified.
Let's not waste time on that because we have another caller waiting. Let's get to the core of it.
No, but they have to understand the contrast between the two. Go to the next call. I can remember.
All right. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Yeah, good afternoon, Ms. Malcolm. Good afternoon, C. Allen.
Good afternoon.
I think Mr. Pintard has to try and strike a delicate balancing act because he trying to eat his cake and have it too. On the one hand, he's in Parliament bragging and defending everything the Forbes administration did. As a matter of fact, he told the PLP several times, they're all doing good in this and that because of the policies the Forbes administration set. Now, if Dr. Minnis hearing this, hearing I did a pretty good job. But when the PLP drop a bombshell, Pintard would say, well, I wasn't in the chair, I wasn't the leader. So you can't, on the one hand, take some of the credit for everything that was good under the administration, but you don't want to accept nothing that was clearly bad. And Dr. Minnis vetoed all Ingramites when he became leader because of the same situation. If Mr. Pintard don't have the political will to veto the Minnesites, then he's just a placeholder until the convention. Thank you for taking my call.
All right, thank you for calling.
He makes a very important point, and this is where the hypocrisy of the vehement thinking comes in. We recognize that we live in a benevolent dictatorship where the prime minister is the all-knowing of everything that sets the policy directions and everything, right? But yet, at the same time, let's listen to his argument. You take credit for what the administration has done, which is correct. But then when you say a bad decision was made, it came from the directive from the benevolent dictator, meaning that I would have not made that decision, but nothing arose in the cabinet to the point that challenged my moral thinking that would have given me reason to resign from cabinet.
Because Minnis was acting as the competent authority within himself.
In all different aspects. And so there's I don't see a conflict in his argument. I see a conflict in our thinking because this is where we get distracted. And so if we could actually begin to recognize where that fault is in our Constitution, we could then fix it constitutionally or in law. And so what I'm simply saying is this: you can't change what you cannot manage. I mean, you cannot manage what you cannot measure. You cannot measure what you can't acknowledge. This is the problem. You have so many people telling us what is going to happen. Let me tell you something. If Mr. Lincoln Bain was elected prime minister, he would have the exact same powers and dictatorial type environment that no one would be able to say anything to him because we have not moved to actually set it aside.
Okay,
and so
we have a cell phone call on the line.
Right.
Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good afternoon, Lady Malcolm.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Wonderful. Alan, what's up?
How you doing, man?
Wonderful, wonderful. See now, This game has been played on the Bahamian people for roughly 50 years. We are now in the fourth quarter of the game. We are down by 2, the FNM and the PLP, right? We're calling in C. Alan Johnson as the big gun, the big man on the team, the one we pay all the money to come and make these shots because we're down by 2. We need to win. But what is happening, the FNM and the PLP have played this game so long on the Bahamian people, they start. They got us debating the same kind of long debates like what C. Alan doing and talking about little other things important, but we need to focus on the main point. Let's take it back. Brave Davis came in. You know, people always say the FNM and the PLP, 2 sides of the same coin. I now believe that, right? Say 2 niggas shooting dice or 2 dudes shooting dice, and no matter which one win, the next one will say, man, I lose, come over and blind. That's how they wake it. So they throw something out. Brave Davis now going in for the kill. That's why he repealed the Sovereign Wealth Fund. He won't get there first. Naughty boy over there with the dice. He won't get there first. So he repealed that Sovereign Wealth Fund and took it out of the hands so the average Bahamian could benefit. He is now placing it strictly in the hands of the Prime Minister's office. Now, who tells Brave Davis he can be Prime Minister for life in this democracy? No. So even if he loses, the other fellow across the way assume all of that big money would coming in from the Commonwealth Fund. In other words, what these 2 dudes doing is they locking in the financial portion of the country so that whichever Brave could get that to go to, he don't care because by the time it's minutes or Pintard with, Brave would run off with billions of dollars and then it would be minutes or Pintard time. They don't care. Now, minutes, why minutes come back, like you say, with a dismal performance that he did, because if I performed that bad, I wouldn't want to run. The blue-eyed boys behind him understand what Brave is doing, and they now focus on the money, because Pintard ain't no original FNM.
Fine.
Why they got minutes fighting between him and Tingham, because they want to grab their hand or whatever, Brave. Thanks for taking my call to me. Yes, the other.
All right, thanks for calling.
Now, it is, and that's a point I didn't get to make. Pintard is an outsider, even as chairman. This is not institutional leadership that is coming into the party, and he has an appeal to the public as opposed to the oligarchs and the plutocrats. He has no loyalty. This is why I said to people, if the PLP continue on the way they're going, then we should get behind Pintard, knowing that he will be most likely the most senior of choices, and force him to make some decisions as policy statements now and put a force, organized force behind it. Now, when we start talking with these alternative party, Coalition of Independence, the DNA, I think if they still there, somebody please call their phone numbers if they're still around, and these other third parties, is that everything they're offering us can be done right now without them being in power. So my question is this: if you can make an argument for the Sovereign Wealth Fund, I want people to know the Sovereign Wealth Fund that the PLP replaced is saying, like, you give me, I'm replacing these 6 rotten eggs with these 6 hard-boiled rotten eggs. That Sovereign Wealth Fund we never had a Sovereign Wealth Fund. A Sovereign Wealth Fund in its function is only a holding company for all assets known and unknown, seen and unseen, tangible and intangible. Then you get sovereign asset management to exploit them. So this all benefits about projects and this infrastructure fund is just a way. Let me tell you something. And when the PLP administration gives these contracts to their people supposed to be to develop airports and roads and stuff, they will be ironclad. The next one will just come in and compound it. But we are at a point now in our 50th year that we have the ability to take over any political party if we stop waiting for Yahshua or somebody to come and save us. We're past it. I don't care what anybody says. We're past the Joshua generation. Okay, what's the guy that came after Joshua? You all should find out what he did.
We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS. We had a caller on the line. Okay, we have to take a break. On the other side of the break, I want to get to what Richard Johnson had to say.
Yeah, what Pat said.
Because what the female caller said earlier about him winning his case is that in fact what happened.
We're going to talk about that on the other side of the break. Stay with us. This is GPS. At Lee Air, safety is our number one priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Youngevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all: schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466.
One of the things I love about the Mailboat is their relationship with Bahamas Air. I can earn travel points on my international freight and redeem them when I fly.
For me, online shopping is easy with Mailboat's U.S. addresses and regular freight delivery to Nassau. Plus, I can always prepay customs and freight, and they always notify me when my package arrives.
Yeah, a lot of people think the Mailboat is just for shipping, but they also offer a safe and secure storage facility at affordable rates, all in a central, convenient location.
We also offer passenger service into Freeport multiple times per week with a seating capacity of over 450 persons. With family movies on large screens, one hot meal included, and on-board lounge for snacks and soft drinks. We're the Mailboat. We're bridging people, products, and places.
Executive Printers is your one-stop shop for all your branding and customization needs. Letterheads, envelopes, business cards, invoices, share and gift certificates, rubber stamps, vouchers, funeral programs, brochures, flyers, banners, and promotional items like mugs, water bottles, mouse pads, and key rings, all with personable service and great quality. No project is too small or too large. For great turnaround and competitive pricing, make an executive decision. Call us at 393-5011.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here, along with my guest, C. Alan Johnson. And we are talking about the political chess moves that we see that are about to begin. The chessboard has been taken out and all the dust brushed off, and now we're getting ready to see some jockeying going on and some chess moves happening. And it seems that there is a fight going on within the Free National Movement, or one that's about to begin, that is spilling into the public arena. And so this is what we're talking about today. Will the real leader of the Free National Movement please stand up?
We are streaming live on Facebook, and you can find us on the official Global 99.5 FM and Michelle Malcolm pages. Telephone numbers to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. WhatsApp is 801-0271, 801-0271, and you can catch us on Cable Bahamas channel 974. Okay, we have a call on the line, right? Oh, caller, welcome to GPS.
Good afternoon, Michelle.
Hi, how are you?
To you and your guest.
Same to you.
It seems to me the real leader of the Free National Movement is your guest. He seems to have all the answers. He seems to be trying to prop up one of the leaders. He's creating some kind of distraction. And I mean, he is pretty much all over the place. I don't know if he's a FNM, if he's in, if he's out. He's trying to run a party without a party. What is he trying to do? I'm totally confused. I'm listening to him as he attempts to rewrite history.
All right.
He's trying to convince us to go in a particular direction. And then on one hand, he is saying he is not in that direction. He thinks we're running some presidential system where you promote one person rather than a party. Man, he is totally confused. And all he's doing right now is distracting people.
Okay, I'm going to let him respond, but I want to say this before he does. Hold on, Cialan. Let me just say this. One of the reasons why I like to engage Cialan in these kinds of conversations is because he tends to look beyond just what we're seeing on the surface, and he tends to look ahead of the game. I remember when we first started doing these political chess moves shows, and this was when Minnis first implemented the competent authority and pretty much took over as a dictator and used science as the reason for him taking that position, because we were dealing with a pandemic. And Cialan was one of the first people that said, this has nothing to do with science, or very little to do with science. This man is going to ride this competent authority all the way to the next election. That was said on the show that I was hosting at the time. People called him stupid and called him everything but a child of God. And he was off by one day, I think. Minnis rode that competent authority, started straight into the election because it was his ability to use that to maintain dictatorial control and power. And Cialan was one of the earliest people to actually realize that, or at least say it publicly. And so whenever I want to do one of these shows, I love to get Cialan because he sort of thinks ahead, not just what we see going on right in front of us. But you are more than capable, Cialan, to defend yourself.
No, I'm saying to them, if he wants me to tell him what's going on in the PLP, just show us about the FNM. Whenever there's an overlap, I speak to the PLP show. But let me just explain to them. You want to know my philosophy? I told you, I am in green, dictatorial in sense of my philosophy. And if anyone, and these are things I say, I want people that knows the philosophy of the Progressive Labour Party to have a debate with me of who I am. I want people to understand the divergence of the FNM from the PLP to have a debate with me as to what the FNM philosophy is. You notice they never talk. They talk about what they believe, but they never want to tell you what it is they believe. I do. I don't go by what somebody tell me. I have the written philosophy. Now, I am an idealist. I am I guess what you say, if you go ask any FNM, they'll tell you I'm a PLP idealist. If you ask the PLP, they'll tell you that I'm a PLP absolutist. Not for these PLPs are here since 1992. They're not PLPs. They're opportunists. I'm telling you for what it is. We've not had the PLP that's abided by the PLP philosophy since 1992. The person that came closest to the PLP philosophy since 1992 was Hubert Alexander Ingram as he was leading the FNM during the first term. That was it. Then he became Hubert Ingram Party. So please, for you guys who take over what I feel, you know what you believe. Like you say, I'm a Catholic, I'm a Baptist, I'm a whatever. Know what you believe and why you're slightly different between the two. Now, going back to Richard.
Yeah, that's where I want to go because the lady said
he did not win his case. Yes, what happens? His case is pending. and they have not been able, I would assume, to get a date in the Supreme Court. So what they did is they did an ex parte hearing. An ex parte hearing is a hearing of one, meaning Richard attorney. There was no F&M attorneys there. There was no one to offer any opposition. Their argument, based on what I've read, was that he was being denied a right of access for which was being challenged, and should he not be restored pending the decision as to who is right, he would lose access. Like you say, let's say for some reason 6 months from a year from now, it is ruled that he should be reinstated. How do you go back and give him an opportunity to be involved with the meetings that he has missed? So that was a move to say, protect me from to participate. They have their own rules within it. Now understand this. The F&M has its own disciplinary rules and procedures. This gives them, if any rules was violated in his removal, to follow the rules to have him removed. That's plain and simple. This is not rocket science. This I think this is an issue all about nothing. If whether he made the move, and it's some things that I've observed, I wouldn't even go into it because, you know, the typical Bahamian, they don't understand. And then if you understand my position, I am always for strong opposition. And we keep giving ourselves weak opposition. The opposition is the balancing act of power. That is our voice when we have the dictator takes over. The opposition is what the tool that we should use. I have always been pro-opposition for my 20 years of being home. This is where they say I'm anti-government. I'm not anti-government. I am pro-good governance. So if you give absolute power and you talk about absolute corruption, it reveals who these people are. If we are not benefiting from what they've been doing, my God, please stop. Let's stop doing it. Stop doing it.
Okay. I want to read.
I'm saying let's strengthen the opposition. And by strengthening the opposition, not being in numbers in the House of Parliament, we becomes the power in the opposition. And we don't need to give up that power, even if we change administration.
Okay.
That's where the power is.
I want to read the last paragraph of a statement that was issued by the Free National Movement a short while ago in response to that court order. And then we're going to hear from Mr. Johnson himself about his view of what seems to be happening in the party. According to the Free National Movement statement, it says the court has not, by the said order or otherwise, expressed a substantive view on the allegations raised by Mr. Johnson, the said order being granted by the court without the benefit of submissions on behalf of the party. The order serves only to restore and preserve the previously existing state of affairs, pending further or final order, and will be complied with as we take the necessary steps to secure a further hearing in this matter. We will keep council members informed as the matter progresses. Due to the wide circulation of the said order, we will be sharing this communication with the press as a courtesy. So it seems that what they're saying based on this statement is in agreement with what you're saying now, C. Allen, that wasn't so much a victory. It was just them saying that until the matter is settled in court, he cannot be denied that right. Now, I want to get to these clips. Let me play a clip from Mr. Johnson himself, what he had to say as it relates to his interpretation of Dwayne Sands, in his view, trying to stifle free speech within the Free National Movement, which he is charging is very anti-F&M.
F&Ms at large are disappointed in the way the party is going, in the direction the party is going, under the leadership of Michael Pintard and Dr. Dwayne Sands, particularly Dr. Dwayne Sands, who is circumventing and holding down, stagnating democracy in this party. The Free National Movement was never built off that. The men who built this organization, Sir Cecil Waters Whitfield, Sir Arthur Folkes, Maurice Moore, Jimmy Shepherd, Dr. Curly McMillan, and many more. They built this organization for people like me and others to join, to have freedom of speech, freedom of movement, and freedom of associate. So when we talk about silencing voices, that's a problem.
That's what this new leadership team is doing right now, according to what you're saying in this article?
This is happening under the leadership of Michael Pintard, and Dwayne Sands is the one who's taking it
What are they doing? Because I've been following the articles, especially in the Nassau Guardian, where Dr. Sands has said he's given no directives that the former Prime Minister should be allowed to speak or should not be allowed to speak. And so where is this coming from if he's denying this?
I think I'm going to be very frank with you, Miller. It's very much it's a word called insecure. Dr. Minnis, according to them, has been a reject. The people don't want him. He had his time to speak, and he will not be allowed to speak according to them. Well, Dr. Minnis is a sitting member of Parliament. Yes, he lost the election, just like a Hubert Ingham would have lost the election, just like a Perry Christie would have lost the election, just like a Sir Lyndon Bilden would have lost the election. And so he's no different from other prime ministers. The persons like Dr. Sands, who is a seatless wonder, believe that they could tell the former prime minister that his era is over, but they don't have no seat. He has no seat at the table. So why you want to silence my voice? When I have a voice by the payment people send to the Parliament, And every association, I want you to know, Shanique, every association in the Free National Movement is governed by the Constitution of the FNM. We have a chairman who believes that he is God, that he runs the party, that he don't have to listen to that blueprint. He don't have to listen to the black and white. As you're aware, and if the listeners are aware, I have a court now, and I have a court case.
We'll get to you, because I want to know if you are on the inside speaking, are you a rogue member on the outside trying to stir up trouble? Is that Richard? Are you speaking out against this leadership team because you now have a court case and you are in a court battle with them?
Absolutely not. I think to give Michael Pintard the benefit of the doubt. Generally, because I came on the show many times, I supported him as leader of the party.
You support him as leader?
Yes, and he has my support until the next convention. We have one leader at a time, but at the same time, what is transpiring under your leadership begs to question your leadership abilities and capabilities to lead this party moving forward. And so, as Free National Movement supporters, unlike the PLP, we have a right to express ourselves.
So how do you really feel, Richard Johnson? Okay, so
he's repeating the same error that Bannister and Aram Lewis done. And he referred to the beginning of the FNM. Do you know if the FNM was who they started out as, a person like me could fit in perfectly. They have lost their way from the philosophy of free thinkers, contrasting ideas. They used to debate ideas and various different things. The FNM is not that FNM anymore. Now, and this is why I say to FNMs and to PLPs, just for a point of reference, I see Michael is doing some things as leader of opposition that has never been done before. So we say this is what we say, Michelle. He's doing, y'all didn't do it, under the PLP didn't do it, Brave didn't do it. So the question is, isn't it Michael Pintard doing a wonderful thing by setting a precedent that the opposition will function as the opposition? So that means the next set of opposition comes in, we could expect them to continue that precedent of functioning as an opposition, as just a placemat waiting to be government, rather than being an active participant in government, asking for accountability, asking for transparency, asking for whatever. We should be applauding the type of position you have. But when you go to the FNM Constitution, if we talk about the FNM, if you want to talk about disassociation and what's happening in the PLP, I could. I guess I am an unbiased observer of both, even within my party, the PLP, and of the opposition. I am about good governance. I've been maintaining. People say, oh, see, I'll do the same thing yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Thank you. I remember they said about Yeshua. Thank you so much.
Time running out. So let's talk about.
What I'm simply saying is this. They went in. They're not talking about the violation of the Constitution of the FNM. Minnis has not been stopped from speaking. Minnis could go and speak and make a request to speak to any constituency that abides by the schedule or whatever the FNM calls for. It is a known fact, and that if it's not revealed now, I'm sure it will be revealed as this fight goes on, that constitution, that constituency is not properly constituted. In fact, that if you follow the FNM Constitution, Minnis should have known that constituency does not exist. So again, this is a play on words and playing to the ignorance of the Bahamian people. I'm telling the Bahamian people, let's hold the FNM accountable as opposition and do not allow them to gaslight us, to question our sanity. Educate yourself on the very organizations you're seeking to govern you. So you will know when they're out of order. If they're out of order before, they will continue to be out of order because that's how you accept them. And so I'm saying I support a vibrant, strong opposition, and anything I could do to bring about good governance, to stop the suppression of opinion and expression in the Bahamas, I support them.
When you say that constituency doesn't exist, you're talking about Garden Hills.
Yes, based on
the Constitution of the Free National Movement.
And I would have Richard and the chairman of that. I would have Dwayne Sands. I challenge someone to have Dwayne Sands say what I said is wrong. He may not say it, but challenge him to say what I say is wrong.
Let me read something that is supposedly from a letter that was allegedly written by Mr. Sands. It says a March 4 letter written to chairman of the Free National Movement, Garden Hills Constituency Association, Zendel Morley, by FNM National Chairman Dwayne Sands sheds more light on the seemingly increasingly divisions within the opposition party, with Sands accusing Morley of violating the FNM's constitution and warning him that he could face expulsion. Sands stated that Morley has been invited to attend several meetings with him, Deputy Chairman Donald Saunders, and executives of the Garden Hills Constituency Association, but he said in the letter Morley has failed to attend. He also said the association chairman has not responded to any attempts by the leadership to mediate the complaints between himself and members of the constituency's executive board. Quote, "It is alleged that you have failed to fulfill your constitutional duties as chairman," end quote, Sands wrote. Quoting again, "We are instructed that contrary to Section 18 of the of the Constituency Association rules and obligations, you have failed to hold executive committee committee meetings once a month or at all. As a result, the executive committee has been unable to fulfill its objectives and responsibilities and its constitutional duties. As a result of your non-compliance, the executive board and the Garden Hills Constituency Association has not been active in accordance with the Constitution of the Free National Movement." Sands noted that Section 37 of the FNM Constitution provides for the National Executive Committee to be responsible for the general administration of the party, including establishing and keeping active the Constituency Association. Sands allegedly wrote, "This letter serves as notice that I will be referring the complaints against you and the inactive status of the Garden Hills Constituency Association to the National Executive Committee for their consideration and adjudication. We hereby demand that you suspend all actions in the name of the FNM Garden Hills Constituency Association until the Executive Committee is satisfied that the FNM Garden Hills Constituency Association is operating in accordance with the Constitution of the Free National Movement."
Thank you. That's exactly what I see. You know what I'm saying to people? Get to know the Constitution of the PLP and the FNM, and you will not be gaslighted. Understand, this is not the only branch in the FNM that is in violation of the Constitution. This is the branch, however, challenge that Minister chose to use. I would hope that the FNM is seeking to now correct these defects within their branch for good governance, because we need accountability in the constituencies as well as in Parliament. So what I'm saying to you is, because I watch all the chess on the table and you don't complain because I know what's happening in the PLP and what's happening in the FNM. I got sources all the way to cabinet, just like, in fact, Bradley Roberts said, God bless his soul, he would tell you, I was his best source for information until his death. And anybody want to challenge for me that I could prove that. I was the garbage can. Okay? So, because people understand, not only will I protect them and the information they give me, is that I will not abuse the information provided to me and the opinion. And so this is why I happen to know a lot of things as it happens. And that's what gives me a better perspective.
Okay, so Richard is of the opinion that Dwayne Sands has got to go. As you would have said earlier in this show, this is really about a battle about getting rid of Dwayne Sands. Here's what Richard would say again from that show.
Dwayne Sands is the problem in the FNM. And Dwayne Sands needs to go.
But Dwayne Sands is, as you say, the duly elected person to serve as chairman.
Yeah, but the longer he stays on, the longer our party will be in the crisis the way it is today. We cannot have a chairman who is standing in the way of democracy. We cannot have a chairman who's arrogating unto himself what the policies and guidelines of the FNM is. That cannot happen. He's a danger to democracy in our party.
Allegedly. Cover myself on this show as the host.
The chairman, the sitting chairman for Garden Hills, received a letter from the chairman of the party this weekend.
I just want to say that I read
yes,
an article,
yes.
and the chairman is denying that the chairman of the party is denying he sent such directives in a letter.
Signatures on the letter.
But the letter's not been
but his
shown.
signatures on the letter.
Okay.
And reading that letter, there again, the chairman of the party is out of order. You don't have the right to threaten an association
What does
chairman.
this alleged letter say?
Well, it's saying that if you don't conform to what I say, you will be expelled from the party. Secessor never put the word in his party.
Kicked out of the party?
Yes, Secessor never put the word in his party. Tommy never did it. Ingram never did it. Tommy never did it. Minnis never did it. So why you believe you can do it now? We are not about that. This is the time now, Shanique, that we need people to come to the fold, to build our base. We had almost 45,000 FNMs who didn't come to the polls last election. Come on, we got time to put people in the party.
Real quick, I got a call on the line. Go ahead, real quick.
You notice that he did exactly. You understand this? Remember now, see, we need the institutional knowledge. Let's go back to Sands and the fight between Sands and Minnis. Remember now, Minnis is the one who cut Sands' throat in cabinet and got rid of him. During the COVID, see, people have to understand, there's some blood there. And so Sands, even if he doesn't ascend to leadership, Sands knows that Minnis is not the leader that he wants to be under in the next administration.
Because he already got booted by him before, so he doesn't know.
Michael or someone else is his best bet. But understand it. You notice how Richard tried to make it seem as though this letter was something? From the letter you read, I saw a complete notification of the Constitution. Not some I telling you to do. This is what the Constitution reminds you.
We have a call on the line. No, the caller is gone. Okay. Since the caller is gone, it doesn't seem that what
this is where gaslighting comes in. They're trying to manufacture. This is where they play to the ignorance of those around us who don't know the rules of the game. I know the rules of the game in parties and outside of parties. I mean, I don't know the rules of the Coalition of Independence. However, I know the DNA because I was there at its birth. I happen to know the rules of the PLP, and I happen to know the rules of the FNM and a few other parties that is formed in this country. I think I've been at all of their birth except for the Constitution Party. So
okay. I want to play one more clip from Richard. And this is him comparing the leadership of Pintard and Minnis. Check this out.
Michael Pintard has said Dr. Minnis is a distraction. Should Dr. Minnis stand down and let Michael Pintard sort of come into his own as the now leader of the FNM?
Well, here's the facts. The former Prime Minister didn't lose his seat. Like Christie would have lost his seat in 2020 and 2017. So he lost his seat. So Christie will need to talk. But at the same time, Dr. Minnis led the country as former Prime Minister. And there are things that Michael Pintard cannot speak to as relates to what the former Prime Minister could speak to. The fact that he is speaking on legislation today in the House of Assembly, the fact that he's speaking on matters when he's asked by the media, the fact that he speaks to his constituency says to me that he has something to offer the Bayman people. And he has some things he has to answer to. There are questions relating how we govern the country, what we did with the COVID, what we did with the food program, what we did with crime.
So you're saying the man has a right,
absolutely,
especially with issues like that continue to come up to address those issues.
Absolutely. But, on the show, I recall Michael Pintard was on the show sometime last year. I think the question was asked to him about the leadership of the party and the direction the party is going. And he would have said to you, right on the show, that Minnis has the right to defend the government's former government performance. He has the right to speak to that, but he doesn't have the right to speak to the direction and the policy in which the party is going. And Dr. Minnis is not doing that. He's being asked by the constituency to come and speak to this meeting regarding on this topic.
Is
I see
Dr.
nothing
Minnis,
wrong with that.
in your estimation, is he a distraction?
Dr. Minnis?
Yes.
To who?
To this leadership and what this leadership wants to accomplish.
I would say,
or to establish a voice and a single voice and direction of this party.
The leader has been in for a year, well, more going on 2 years now, this year. And so the leader had an opportunity, or have an opportunity, to solidify himself. If you don't do that in a year time, pretty much
You're saying
other people have a right to do X, Y, and Z.
So you're saying he's ineffective?
Absolutely. I'm saying that live on TV.
You saying Michael Pintard?
Michael Pintard is ineffective leader of the FNM.
How is he ineffective?
Because for a year now, I don't think we have grasped support in the party. We have not been rallying in the base to an extent. Members is not coming home. Our message is poor, and so for me, that questions leadership for me.
Blood in the water.
See, let me show you Rich has been disingenuous. Michael Pintard has made some demands in the House of Assembly. If Minnis was a team player, he'd also demand. But Michael Pintard says, all of the questions you've asked, you can answer them. Answer them right now. You have the records, display them now. Don't drip feed us. Don't drip feed us piece of salacious information. Michael Pintard has said that. If Minnis wants to, Minnis has never got up and said, yes, I support that position. Let's lay it all on the table. My governance was clean, transparent, whatever. He has not. Now, Richard is wrong again. Remember I said for 18 months, if you look at historical records, that the FNMs would then begin to make the decision of returning. They have not returned yet. This is why Minnis is making his move, because he knows they are about to return to the party. And so, and again, if they left because of Minnis, they will not be returning to Minnis. And so, as we move along, and if Adrian Gibson case is offset beyond January or whatever after the discovery motion, then most likely Sands will even take a solidified position behind whatever leadership. He may change from Pintard. It just won't be to Minnis. Rest assured, it will not be to Minnis. It could very be the deputy leader. It could be Adrian White. It could be anyone in there. It will not be part of Minnis' team. So basically what you have is you have Michael Pintard, Adrian White, and you have Cartwright is who you'll see him aligned by. My bet would be that he will stay aligned behind Pintard.
You don't think he's jockeying for leadership himself? Sounds, I mean.
But I'm saying to you, the FNM will not repeat a Tommy and a Minnis thing. Remember, you could remove Michael Pintard as leader of opposition. You put Minnis there. Most of the people in Parliament have learned. If they were to be honest, they'll most likely say they will not want Minnis back. But they're playing a political game themselves. Who's sitting in Parliament beyond those? The alliance that Minnis have between Kwesi Thompson, his cousin, Aram Lewis, who also vied for leadership, and for Adrian Gibson, is basically Adrian Gibson is in the middleman. Adrian Gibson is the sharpest one of all of them, because I would have Michael Pintard, Sands, and Minnis all jockey to make sure I shot, because I am the one that hold the keys for three of them. So Adrian Gibson is the sharpest one of all of them. He'd understand the game, because these things with the PLP running on, but he's one way of moving. He's not one away. He's maybe two away, because Gibson is not going to give up his trump card. He's not a fool. I know Adrian Gibson personally. He knows the games of politics, regardless of the accusatory environment behind it. He's not giving up his card. Adrian is going to play this straight to the end. He's not going to resign. He's not going to do anything. So understand, he has some good advisors also. So what happens now is that you have Minnis now recognizing that you need control of the constituency offices. If these people come back to the party and join the constituency office, remember, the voters in the constituency office represent the opinion of the constituency. And so if they come back to the party and those constituencies get saturated with a pro-Michael or an anti-Minnis, when they go to convention in January, they will choose who they want. If they are anti-Minnis, guess what? In January, they're going to say, we support the current leader or some other leader. And Minnis knows this. And this is what Richard Dem is playing to us, our ignorance, not to my ignorance, because I know exactly what is happening. So they're playing to that ignorance of the Neiman people. This is a chess game, but this is the pre-game before the game starts. Because the real game starts knowing this. Let's say this. I anticipate.
Wrap it up. We got less than a minute. Wrap it up.
In 2024, unless the PLP brings this super budget, this magic budget in the 2024 budget, 2024-25, we will have an election by September of 2024.
That's a big prediction.
I'm saying because the economy will be heading south, there'll be no recovery, and so you'll have the headwinds, and you'll have the same problem that Minnis has, and Minnis sees it. And so Minnis says, whoever sits in the seat gets to be prime minister, and that's why he's trying to get back there to just sit in the seat and park himself.
We gotta go. Alan. It's 4 o'clock. No, it's 4 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock. I can call you, but that's a powerful enough statement to end the show. I'll go. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right.
No lot for the time. 4 o'clock, y'all. I gotta get off the air. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Tomorrow is Open Line Friday, TGIF, and you are my co-host. Boy, what a week gone already. I just said a couple days. Anyhow, see you guys tomorrow. Take care.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those
For Mother's Day,